Hi, and welcome to this week's Parashas here. I guess I'm going to change it up. Does it look alright?
Yeah, looks good.
This is Balak. We're in Parashas Balak with a commentary of the Ramdu. I was going to sit back in my seat, but real quick, we should change that. Alright, so Parashas Balak. Let's go. Parashas Balak with the commentary of the Ramdu. We're obviously here at the Kaisel with the Ari Lewis Show. Hi, Ari Lewis Show.
Hi, Ari Lewis Show.
And our friend Vicky from Australia. Hi.
Hi.
And here we go. This is our third time doing this, and I think you'll see I got the rhythm down for the Ramdu. It's a very interesting commentary. It's long. That's what I wasn't prepared for the first two classes. This was like 50 or more pages, and I had to condense and crunch down into something that we can do for an hour. And hopefully I can give over the whole parsha that way. I want to start off with a nice idea. This is something I heard. You probably heard this maybe. I don't know. It's a famous idea. It's not new. Parashas Kairach, right? How does Kairach start? With a kuf.
Right.
With a kuf. How does what's the next parsha after Kairach?
Huchas.
What's the middle letter? Kuf. And this is Parashas
Balak.
ending with
Kuf.
Kuf. Kuf, kuf, kuf. Each time KKK. The Jewish KKK. And the Ramdu commentary starts by saying, I don't know if it's connected to that, I just remember that idea, that every parsha builds on every parsha. The Ramchal has this thing. Remember, the Ramdu is coming from the base midrash of the Ramchal. They're the same kind of world. So he says, cool, like what connection does this parsha have to every other parsha in the order? So he brought that as the first idea in the Perush, and I liked it because it reminded me of Kuf, Kuf, Kuf. So very apropos. There's a lot of things going on in the parsha. There's a general theme, but I want to kind of in the Hakdama, I want to introduce a couple concepts. That was the first concept. The next concept I want to say, wisdom is not short in the world. There's wisdom in the world. The Greeks and the Jews had a very, very explicit fight. And the fight was, which school contains real chachma, or wisdom? The Greeks had their style, and for whatever we hear the party line in yeshiva, we have Torah. And that's like the biggest party line that ever lived. We have Torah, right? But what is Torah? So it works out like this. In the depth of Kabbalah, there's something called an ikr. An ikr is, for example, when the Torah speaks about something, you think it's just kind of a silly little story. But if it goes into detail, that's like the definition spiritually of the concept. I don't know one off the top of my head. I guess you could say Bereshit. Is Bereshit a word or an ikr? It's a thing.
Right.
It's not just a word in the beginning. It's a proper thing, right? So it's an ikr. It's a function. It's a wisdom of creation. So the Jewish school of thought is when you delve into Kabbalah and Torah and you extract ikarim. For example, the word nachon. Yeshayahu, a Navi, uses the word nachon. Around here in Israel, if you ask anybody, if you say atal lo nachon, they're going to tell me that I told them he's wrong. Atal lo nachon.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that. It means not right. So if you look, where is nachon used in the Navi? I know Yeshaya uses it, and you have to look it up. He would say Bob and Jane went to the mountain, and it was nachon for that day, right? That's an ikr. It's not just a literary it's a literary thing. It's a function, like a calculator. The Greeks didn't have that. I mean, they thought they were going to define the universe. The Torah began at Sinai, and then Moshe gave it over. We know Pirkei Avos to the Nevi'im, but there ended up being Nevi'im through our entire Tanakh. So we ended up getting a big book called the Tanakh. Then, after that, we went into Gullus, and we started to get rabbinic writings, and the Talmud came about. You're going to tell me that that's an oral Torah and a written Torah, but it isn't. It's Deraisa. Deraisa is the concept of the Torah at Sinai being given over and taught every generation. So the Mishnah is part of the Deraisa. Tanakh is part of Deraisa. People don't think about this. We think the Torah was given by Moshe Rabbeinu. It wasn't. Moshe was a Navi. I call it Moshe Navienu. Because you got to think about it in those terms. So the prophet Isaiah was not a prophet under those terms. He was a link of the Masorah of Torah. Yeah, he was a prophet, but don't think like that. Don't think like there's some upper echelon, like, whoa. That was part of Deraisa. So every generation the Torah is given over, it's part of Deraisa. Don't think Moshe Rabbeinu, don't think Yeshaya Navi. Start thinking the lineage of Torah Deraisa. So what you have is at Sinai, the Jewish people were given Giloi Shechina, which means they were soaked up with this ruchnius called Torah. So the world thinks about wisdom in a certain way. They have their schools and philosophies. The Jewish people were given a ruach of Torah. So for example, if two Greek philosophers are going to go to the Makolet and buy eggs and milk, they would say philosophy, blah, 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 philosophy, blah, blah, blah. Two Jews would say, what's the pshat? If the eggs were chetzi, price, necheshbin. Why are they doing that? They're doing a Torah on eggs and milk. The Jew found out you can do a Torah on anything. Who's better, Batman or Superman? Well, if Batman had that case, so we have a Masorah of Torah. That Torah was what made Israel unique, holy, prophetic, and the lineage of Deraisa. So it ends up being we have Torah. So the world is built on Ikarim. Like this is called a wall. That is not just a physical phenomenon. It is a Iker. We all know that's an Iker. This is a specific place in the world, right? The Holy of Holies is over there.
That's why it's called the wall.
The wall.
Right.
The Greeks don't understand that. They would call it, dude, it's a wall.
A wall.
It's a wall. It's a wall, man. It's a wall. We say it's the wall.
Right. The Greeks say it's a wall like any other wall.
That's it. So we have the Torah of Ikarim. So if you want to know what is a man, well, I'm going to go on the Tanakh. I'm going to look up Ish, probably like Moshe Rabbeinu, Ish Elokim, or something like that. And I'm going to read the pasuk. Ish Elokim raises his hands in Amunah. So what is a man? It's a man of God who raises his hands in Amunah. That's how you know what a man is. See what I'm saying? You use the Torah to define itself.
But what if someone doesn't raise their hands? They're not a man?
Then what you do is you look up all the places in the Concordancia that talk about Ish. You get a super conscious position of all of them. And 10 times out of 10, 100 out of 100, if you look up, if there's 5,000 mentionings of Ish in the Tanakh, or 400, whatever it is, right? You learn them all out, Mikros Gedolos, you will come out with a unified view of what a man is. There's a limit to it, a limitation. So you look, there's like little sugias, little genres. You look up anything. What is a wall? Go to the Tanakh and look up kotel, or whatever word for wall. And you look up the 10 sources. The woman stood at the wall. Well hey, we are too. And you get a super conscious position, you get the ikr of what it is. So then we are then called rabbis. We write that down. The wall is God. The Greek, he says it's a wall. So there's wisdom of the world, and then Jewish wisdom through Torah, which is really Deraisa, the lineage, from really Adam until today, but given proper at Sinai. It was given to Moshe. And the nation of Israel, who at the place of Moab, where we're hanging out now, they were given the soaking spirit where Israel just does Torah. So where two Greeks walk into a bar and they discuss the philosophy of a beer, the Jews, they do the Pilpul and the Shakavatariya. It's a different school of wisdom. And Jews are innate with that wisdom. The Messiah, in the end of days, is the one who pushes darkness out of the world, and Israel takes their mantle. There's two Bechinas. There's Israel and Yaakov. Yaakov is small-mindedness, as they say in our good friends from Texas, Mohin, the Cottonute. And then there's Israel, which is Mohin, the Godlut. Mohin, the Godless, Mohin, the Godless. So, in the days of Mashiach, the Mohin, the Godless are gonna push the darkness out of this Bria, and all the things we're talking about, the Jewish wisdom, Deraisa, Mohin, the Godless, Yisrael versus Yaakov, Makabel Gamrim, all these things are gonna happen in the times of the Mashiach. And right now in our plains of Moab, it's a template of Mashiach. Why? You got Moshe Rabbeinu, you got Pinchas coming up in a couple days to spear Bilam. Bilam is and Balak, your classic Amalek, Erev Rav, all your klippas, all the Kabbalah comes in there. If there was ever a messianic feel for the Torah, these two parshas are it. Really the end of Bamidbar. Because in another couple of weeks, in Matos Masai, Pinchas is going to take out Bilam. I mean, that's Mashiach 101.
But it says Bilam was a higher prophet than Moshe.
Okay.
So, how could he be a Molech then?
Amalek?
Yeah.
He's Klippa. He's Das of Klippa. He's a Navi of the Homo Sa'ila.
That'd be like saying Hitler's a better leader than Bibi or a Jewish leader, a good Jewish leader.
Why does Nevuah have to be a hierarchy or a pyramid?
Because you have a setup. You know that this prophet is above this prophet.
But the Navi isn't the Iker. There's never a Navi. There will never again be a Navi like Moshe.
Right.
We already did it. So we see Moshe was not Mashiach. So we don't need super Navi to come and do the job. Number one. Number two, who is the soul of Mashiach? Pinchas Eliyahu. Who's the Navi of Nevi'im in that school of thought? Eliyahu. Now, am I saying Eliyahu is greater than Moshe? No. We have a klal from last week and this week. There's two schools of Kabbalah. Like we call it the Gra Kabbalah, the Baal Shem Tov Kabbalah. Or the Rizal Kabbalah, Baal Shem Tov Kabbalah, right? The Tzimtzum of like Av, Sag, Man, and Ning, right? And just God is concealed, God is revealed. Kind of like a female side of Kabbalah and a male side of Kabbalah.
Right.
So there's Moshe, the Navi of Nevi'im, but it wasn't good enough to bring Gula Neged Bilam. So now, who's the guy that kills Bilam? Pinchas Eliyahu. It's another school of Nevuah, right? Like southern kingdom, northern kingdom of Israel. It's a different way than Moshe Rabbeinu. Same Torah, same Masorah, just a different kivun. Eliyahu, I mean, he was taking a Shemayim. It's the school of Sandalphon Metatron. It's a different kav, just like the two schools of Kabbalah, Baal Shem Tov, Arizal.
Pinchas kills Bilam later on?
The end of Bamidbar. Right. Pinchas and a member from the tribe of Dan take out Bilam.
Right.
So it's the whole question. What does Pinchas have over Moshe? Right, that's the whole thing. I mean, really, the soul of Moshe is impregnated into Pinchas Eliyahu. It's called Nishmat Moshe. So it's not a steer to say, or a contradiction, or to leave out Moshe. He's not really left out. It's just that it's more, Eliyahu and Pinchas come inside of a greater messianic feel, right? But what I'm saying is, in the plains of Moab, Moshe is there, so our ingredients are there. And who's the one that killed it in the end with the spear? Pinchas. In fact, this is the famous thing. Pinchas knew the halacha while Moshe sat down.
Right.
There's a famous idea in the Gemara, Talmud Brachas. How do you bring Geula to Israel? When you know the halacha, and for whatever reason, for social certain instances, you can't say the halacha, you bury the halacha, and it causes a Yeshua Klal Yisrael. The Talmud says that there was an incident where the guy was going to bench Birkas HaMazon, and he forgot to bench, and he went down the tower, and they want to make him go back up. He's going to look like an idiot. So he's like, oh, I left my sitter up there. But he didn't. So he went up there. I forget exactly how it works out. They buried the halakha, whatever it was, and he went up and found a golden dove. Right? So it was a miracle. I forget exactly how it worked out, but the idea is when you bury the halakha, the Yeshua comes. So Moshe knew, but Kavana, with Chachma, bury that halakha of can a Jew have relations with a non-Jew? Shimon, in the Torah of Shimon was Zimri and Cosby. And the answer is yes, because we're going to find that with Pinchas in a couple parshiot, the Yafato, or the captive women of war, non-Jew, and Pinchas the Kohen Gadol, she's mutter to him. When it's right. If it's not right, it becomes Sorer More, the wayward son, and you put her to death. So if you take her from lust, it's horrible, and if it's from Kedusha, it's all good. So Zimri and Cosby were trying to push it illegally. So Moshe, having married Zipporah, who was a ger, now it's a problem. He can't stand and give the halacha. Who does? Pinchas comes in the spear. So it's a different kind of nevuah. It's nevuah from chachma rather than just nevuah. There's nevuah right side, nevuah left side. Nevuah from chachma. Pinchas Eliyahu is nevuah from chachma. See, so not a greater nevuah than Moshe. It's a different type, and that's what Bilam is brought down. And where you get Amalek from Bilam and Balak, when you combine the letters from Bilam and Balak, what do you get? Amalek. Beis Lamed, Ayin Kuf. Put together. Balak and Bilam. Got it? You see it?
But are they actually descended from Amalek?
We're going to cover that, Ari Lewis show.
Okay.
We will cover that. Yeah? I'll just say it now, just get out of the way. The Ramdu makes a very nice klal. In my shirim, I go over a lot. Pshat versus pshuto. Okay? Before I actually tell you, let me answer that question. What is the difference between pshat and pshuto? Okay. And if I forget, remind me to tell you how there are pshuto and pshat on Amalek. Okay? That's your job. But I have another job for you in the meantime, so don't forget.
Okay.
If it says that Zimri took the woman, to do immorality, okay? They went to the tent. The pasuk says that. What does it mean they went to the tent?
The Ohel, right, where the Jews were hanging out.
Okay, so why? What is the tent?
Oh, again, it's not like a tent; it's the tent.
What is the tent?
Where God's presence is.
Did they go into God's presence in the tent, like a synagogue?
Something
or
like.
Can you just call it like a house?
I guess you can call it a house.
All right, so that's called pshuto. Pshuto means obvious. If it says they took the man went to the tent with the woman, and we see tent's just another place where he took her out to his place, to his pad, right? That's the obvious answer, and that's called lefi pshuto. What does the Ramdu say? Don't learn it lefi pshuto, learn it lefi pshat, like the real pshat, or the super obvious pshat, which is what? Where do you put a tent? In a field.
Right.
Why'd you go to the field? To do something dodgy. So why does the pasuk say they went to the tent? Because it wasn't just a regular stamazoi tent. He dafka went into the field and pitched dafka a tent to do znus. So yes, it is a regular tent. That is the lefi pshuto. But really, also, it is a bigger Indian. The tent is a makom znus vis-a-vis the parsha, right? That is a clear example of the difference between pshat and pshuto. Pshat again is obvious. A tent is a place where you will sleep. But if you say it's a tent where we're doing znus, then yeah, it makes sense. That he would take her to a tent, not a house. They went to the field. So pshat pshuto. Now, he's going to say that Amalek is the bechina of pshuto. That when it says Amalek, and you say it's a nation every time, that is lefi pshuto. Meaning the obvious thing I would say is there is a nation called Amalek. You don't have to say that. What you can say is the pshat, it's klipas Amalek. It's more apropos, he's saying that when we talk about Amalek in the Chumash, it's really talking about klipas Amalek. Then you get into Kabbalah, the Rizal, it's all about getting rid of the klipas Amalek. Then the Gra in Kula Torah has a very nice pshat. What is Amalek? 3 kinds of Amalek. Amalek in the Gashmius, which is Esav, Yishmael, Erev Rav. Ruchnius, Samach Mem, and the Lamed Lamed. And in the Leiv, the Yetzer Hara, and all your vices and addictions. So there's Pshuto, the nation Amalek, and Pshat, which is Klipas Amalek, right? The union of Amalek. So Bilam and Balak. Now to answer your question, did they have to come from the nation of Amalek? Well, Avdafka, right? They came from that koyach of Kishuf against Klal Yisrael, and that's the whole theme this year is going to run on those lines. So when you look at the ayin and the mem from Bilam, then you get the lamed and the bays of Balak makes Amalek. How we doing?
Good. So, but you're saying that's how Amalek. That's how they're descended from Amalek.
You're going pshuto again.
Okay.
There's pshuto and there's non-pshat.
Okay.
There's the nation Amalek, flesh and blood and seed, and then there's klipas Amalek. For example, Yishmael is one of the klipas, correct?
Yeah.
Is every one of our friends over in this area of the world Dafka a Yishmaelite from descendant? No. But they're under the klipas Yishmael.
Okay.
Right? Like that building up there, I don't know who governs that technically, where they come, what tribe of Shtusim they come from, but it's under klipas Yishmael. Understand? That right there is klipas Yishmael up there.
Okay, so it sounds like metaphorically.
No, it's not metaphoric.
Okay.
It's a spiritual power. If I try to speak lashon hara about you all over the internet, say Ari Lewis, everybody, guess what I know about Ari Lewis? I mean, I'm not an Amalekite. I'm a Kayan. I'm not from Amalek, as far as I know.
You're doing something Amalek would do.
Huh?
You're doing
I'm doing something. That's right. If I'm out to kill you and slander you, why would you do that? Because obviously I'm under Klipas Amalek and I'm doing Amalekite things to you.
Right.
See? Okay. So, to which the Gra says, do not attach yourself to Klipas Amalek. So you can attach yourself to Klipa without being the actual Klipa itself, right? All right. So now here we go. We got about 9 things to cover. We already covered maybe a couple. You see, it gives a really nice chiddush, the Ramdu. Balak and the Moabites and all these people were very, very afraid of Israel because they came out of Mitzrayim Ramalim and Ateva, above nature. And you'll say, but that's pshit that we already know that. And it is pshit that we do already know that. The chiddush is, why couldn't Israel leave Mitzrayim? Because what is the power that keeps a Yid in Gullus? Kishuv. What was Mitzrayim great at? Kishuv.
So what's Kishuv?
Witchcraft.
Okay.
Redirection. So they were so great at it, they swallowed up so many nations. It was like a junkyard of nations. They couldn't get out because of the Kishuv. So now Israel comes out, and Balak's saying, how that happened? Because the only way you can come out of Mitzrayim is if God takes you out above nature. So now that Israel came out, everyone's freaking out. Because the Kishuv should be good enough to keep them in prison. And now you got a nation coming out, that means they're immune to Kishuv. So Balak hires Bilam, they're saying, we got to take care of business over here. Then, what were they really afraid of? They were afraid of Moshe, Shlomi, and Chaimi. Why? Because the Am Yisrael below receives the shefa from the Bechina, or the Iker Yisrael, he who strives with God, above. So there's a kayach of Israel above, and it's mashpiyah down to Israel below. They didn't care about Moshe, Chaimi, and Shlomi. Not really. They saw that the pachad, the terror above, was going to bring that shefa down below. And if Israel gets all the shefa below, then the shefa, like resources of the world, is shifted to Klal Yisrael. Balak and Bilam are out of jobs. They're out of everything. So they got to stop this. They got to stop it. And the Kishuv didn't work, so they got to bring in the biggest Kishuv of all time. That's Bilam. So Balak was a master of Kishuv through action. Bilam was a master of Kishuv through the peh. There's your Moshe, Mida Keneged Mida with Moshe.
With the mouth, yeah.
So the way he describes Bilam is a couple different ways. It's Michael Jordan. He is the Michael Jordan of Klippa and of Klippas Amalek, right? Meaning he is the superstar. You can actually say he's more like Jim Morrison. He's the rock star. And the way the rock star is, it's not like Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is a Talmud Chacham. When I say Talmud Chacham, he is a student of wisdom. Remember the Deraisa school we're talking about? He is the master of the wisdom of the school of Shem, Academy of Torah of Shem and Aver. Bilam is more about memorization. Like a warlock, just like memorizing, do this, do that, ritualistic, highly ritualistic. He knows the moves, but he's not liquid. It's Bruce Lee's student and not Bruce Lee. The guy who memorizes it rather than the innovator. So they're going to call in Bilam, and Bilam's job is to talk. Now, this is Malchus of Klippa. What is Malchus? Malchus's job is the peh, to speak. The Queen of England is a very, very great example of this. You've heard of the Queen's English?
Yeah, sure.
All her job is, and this is not like all her job is, it's a big job. They get her to read. She's an avid reader. She reads nonstop. And then she articulates what she reads. Now, they probably give her pertinent information, right? That way there's a reason to collect the material, and she speaks it. She speaks so much that her accent becomes the Queen's English. And it sets the tone for the nation. Right? It's called refinement, right? If the Ari Lewis show does 5 shows a day of the Ari Lewis show, it gets to the point where it's just Ari Lewis is the Ari Lewis show. You're fluent, right? There's no separation. So Bilam is like the Navi of Sheker, of all these things, and he's so into cursing, just memorization. It's like a lawyer. Hi, I'm here to get my passport to go to wherever. Oh, yeah, it's a 324 form. Go to talk to Marge across the hall. Get your 32. You're under 4A form. It's over there. Just bureaucracy.
Right.
So to bring him in to do the cursing, hey, we got Israel, who's Lamalim in the Teva, against Kishav. Oh yeah, we need a 3-4 form, bring him over. No heart, no passion, doesn't care about God. He just knows the bureaucracy. So Egypt, did bad on the 3-4 form, bring in 3-4. That's why he was able to be brought down, right? So he may have actually known more wisdoms than Moshe, in terms of just gathering wisdoms, right? Who's on the Cavs? Or how about this? George Gervin played with Michael Jordan his rookie year.
Right.
Who knew more moves, Michael Jordan or George Gervin? Gervin. Same thing. But Michael, in the end, was the greater thing. Just to make that comparison, right?
Right.
Because let's take Dr. J's example, that Gervin was one of the greatest shows of all time. So let's say he memorized more, or better yet, who knows more moves? The Harlem Globetrotters or Michael Jordan?
Harlem Globetrotters,
yeah. But it doesn't mean greatness. Doesn't mean it. Can you score in the fourth quarter with 3 seconds on the clock?
Right.
Moshe can do that. Bilam can.
Against defense that's not the Washington Generals.
That's it. So that's Moshe versus Bilam. Kol Shekain, that's Pinchas Eliyahu versus Bilam. All right, we already made a point that this is kind of nice. The Ramdu said you'll never see Balak and Bilam's name really meshed together, because that makes a yichud of right and left, which is the power to destroy the world. Vilna Gaon says in Kol Torah, the Erev Rav want to unite Yishmael and Asa for the same effect, to wipe out Israel. It neutralizes Israel, because Israel spans all of Kabbalah, left, right, center. So if they can bring right and left to the center Kav, then Kabbalistically, with Yaakov with the sticks, it doesn't affect on high. Therefore, they saw that they were the image below of what is on high, of Klippa. So they unite, then they unite. And that wipes out Israel in the middle. Therefore, when their names are never appearing in the Nevuah Moshe, to keep that koyach always at a schism level, so they never actually unite and wipe out Israel. When Israel's vulnerable is when they're called Yaakov. When Israel is not vulnerable is when they're called Yisrael. Mohin Akatnut, Mohin Gadlut. Mohin Gadlus, Mohin Akatus.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time. When Israel is called?
When Israel is weak is when they're B'nai Yaakov.
Okay.
When Israel is strong, B'nai Yisrael.
Okay.
So Bilam and Balak are coming in when it's a potentiality of B'nai Yaakov. Right? When we're scattered amongst the nations. That's why we makabel Gerim when we're amongst the nations. What does the Nevuah say? Beis Yaakov. Isaiah 14:1 every time. When it's B'nai Yisrael, and there's Kohen Levi Yisrael Ger, and we come out of Golus, and there's the days of Mashiach, then we're in Mochen Agadlus, and there's no curse. Everything goes to brachas. The power of Israel is to connect to Israel above. And what makes Israel great, a lot of this, the themes we find in the Parsha over and over again, is what is Israel, what makes Israel great, when is Israel not great, when they're low, what happens, you get a Bilam Balak, how are we saved, you get a Pinchas with a spear. It's the same pattern. What makes Israel great is we're saying that we came out of Egypt against Kishif, they couldn't hold us down. God governs Israel. Hashgacha pratis, sod hashgacha. That is the essence of Kabbalah. Read the very first page of the Yetz Chaim. Why does God make Tzimtzum, the contraction of self, in order to give to Israel? Have you ever read Birkat Hamazon?
Sure.
Read it again. It's an amazing bracha. When you really focus on it, He's always good. We never lack. He gives bread. That's all God does. He mitapel to the creation. Non-stop. And it's an amazing first bracha if you really focus on it. Kili olam chasto, right? His kindness is always. When you are aware of the Shefa and aware of the Ashkacha, that is when the Kabbalah has internalized in you, and your Chachma, you relate to God as He takes care of the creation. So that again is the Torah Deraisa, the school of the prophets of the Jews. Whereas the Greek wisdom says there is maybe a God, but He doesn't do that. He doesn't go to the wall. It's a wall. Right? And here's a pun for you. God becomes AWOL. David HaMelech versus Doeg and Achitofel. David HaMelech says it's all about Hashgacha, and Achitofel and Doeg say there's no Hashgacha. That's not how God does it. This is always the fight. Israel's the nation, Am Segula, with Hashgacha, and the nations, the enemies of Israel, i.e. who? Balak. Says that that's not how God works, and there's no Hashgacha like that. And in the end of days, we're going to find the Hashgacha revealed everywhere. Right? I have a point to say about that. I forget what it is, but that's always the fight. That's what Kabbalah is all about. That's what Gula is all about. Is solidifying that principle: Hashgacha versus not Hashgacha. Now, what do the Klippas do? This is a nice shot. He says the Klippa comes with an Iker. Remember our word Iker? Right. So if Klippa is an Iker, it means it does something. Right? It does something. What is it? It's a function. When you are hanging out with the wrong crowd, they make something happen to you. What do they make happen to you? They make you not able to grab hashpa'ot. God is the emanator. He emanates situations and realities on us. Non-stop. Derech mashal and derech midas. So, the Christians like to say God is love. God is not love. God is the bud of everything. Right? You don't just say God is love. God is love. No, He's not. God emanates love on you. God emanates mercy on you. God emanates everything on you. One thing at a time. You either fight it and say it's a bad day, good day, this day, that day, or you get the mashal, you cop the mida, and you go with what God wants you to know. So when you're at the bank and there's a long line and you're miserable and you hate life, what is God throwing at the Ari Lewis show? Patience. So you got to internalize it and rationalize it and find the way. All right, God, I get it. I got to be patient. So he's emanating it to you.
But God can't throw more than one thing.
Well, He does, but He has kindness and allows you to focus on one thing. Whatever you decide it is what it is. I mean, right now, think about it. Right now we're at the wall, right? Can I say it's a holy moment?
Yeah, sure.
Can I say it's a happy moment?
I think so.
Can I say it's a sad moment?
Because the temple's not there.
Yeah, can I say it's an excited moment? So I got to pick one. And you will. Out of all this energy, you're going to pick one thing. You're going to remember, I was very upset because I had to meet a friend. Rabbi Katz is going on for 25 hours, and I missed my appointment. It was a very upsetting night for you. But for Vicky over here, she said, it was a great night at the wall, it's fine, hey, hallelujah. Right? Different, everyone gets their hashpah. Klippa makes you not able to grab the hashpah. So you're just a broken vessel. So you're just, it's not, how was it, all right? Nothing, bad, horrible, nothing, just nothing. When you're a vessel, when you can grab onto it, and it's like it's craftsman quality, whatever it is meant to be, you lock into it. So that even where I would say I think it's an exciting shear. You would say I disagree. I the whole time heard simcha. Okay, Ari Lewis show got simcha. What can I say? And you walk away happy, and you got it, and you're da da da. You're right, because God gave you one solid thing. So that's the idea, is that Klippa keeps you from focusing on God. It's like a nervous energy. You can't get God. It's all small, a Yaakov small, right? Now the essence of Kabbalah is this hashpa'ot. Again, connecting to God. Connecting to God on high, bringing the Shephet down, connecting to God on that level. This is where you get all the different schools of Kabbalah. Do we focus on God bringing Shephet down onto us? Do we try to elevate our mind up? And again, is it the Arizal or is it Baal Shem Tov? Meaning, do we try to track down what is the Inyan? Right? Why is it Simcha right now and not anything else Ari Lewis show? Because if it was in the happiness over there, just work it out, right? Remember we talked about the water channel going through and doesn't overflow. Everybody gets their piece. Right, so you would say, well, it wasn't so exciting because I thought it was, and you darshan it out so you get the nugget of what it is. Or do you just say God is concealed, God is revealed? I don't know. I saw a good cheer. You made me realize God was present. See what I'm saying? There's different schools. And the different schools are how you relate to the Shephet coming down. All right. Now, you're actually doing pretty good on time. Bilam has a pretty interesting function. Bil'am, to swallow the nations. So think about it. In the world, I saw a really great TED talk. It was about what happened in World War II with the state of Israel. They wanted to create a state system where they could create states and what's the name of that word? When it loses its stability, what's that called? Destabilize. Destabilize states. Then you create war. Then you create refugees. Then you create immigrants. This is why there's this immigrant crisis all over the world. And then immigrants are basically slavery in the new era. So after World War II, they figured out, just give them their land, give them a state, and we can take it away whenever we want. You see, America had no problem getting rid of all of the states they get rid of. Iraq, Afghanistan, right? So the idea is go create havoc, and then you create a refugee situation, and then determine immigrants. And now you see all over Europe, and that's the whole thing, Trump and all these things. Bilam was the originator of geopolitics, swallower of nations. What did Mitzrayim do? They swallowed nations. They gathered, gobbled nations. They were the immigrant state.
Through witchcraft.
Yeah, because it's how you make slaves. You just swallow up a nation, right? You put them on welfare, don't really help them, pluck out the entrepreneurs. You just got how many cheap free labor? Make them a citizen. Hallelujah. It's great to be an Egyptian. Then you just kishuv from there. Then you have a caste system. Oh, you're an immigrant. You're a low-level person. See, I'm a Brahmin. I'm a priest. I'm a high-level person. And they're there forever. You make a fake religion, and you say people that come from your country are always low. Me, I'm the one who sells you this, so I'm always high. And then we see it in today that you never break out of it. Egypt was the father of that, and Bilam was the Navi making it happen. He brought down nations and absorbed them back into Egypt. The world back then is the same world it is today. Nothing changed. The only difference is you need the internet to call Ari Lewis, or do you use your witchcraft, whatever it is. They had their same technologies.
Are you calling the internet witchcraft?
The world never changed. Everything.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun. We think they never showered back then. What are you talking about? They had bathhouses. They were cleaner than you.
Right, they hopped in.
You have fake soap, fake shampoo, fake water, fake shower, and a fake home. Your walls are fake. Everything's in your house is fake. They had like real houses, like real tangible stuff. They went and they scrubbed. They got clean.
They say soap nowadays has a lot of problems with it.
That's it. Everything you have is like. You don't eat food. You eat like food.
Right.
You drink
Processed
like water.
Right.
Your Kiddush wine is like wine. Nothing about you is real. Your shirt is a garbage product. Back then, they'd have a shirt that would last them how many years? Real material. So the world will never change.
Too processed now.
Yeah.
They're real dominant back then.
Huh?
So they're real dominant back then. Well, it was longer.
That's what I'm saying. It was real stuff. Even as far as 1950, it was more real. They said a Hershey bar was a Hershey bar.
Right.
A loaf of bread was a penny, whatever it was. It's all fake today. But it doesn't mean that we're a different world. It's the same construct, same wisdom. Just
why is it less fake though? I mean, why is it fake?
Now?
Yeah, less real. Why is
because the government says you have to have deodorant, and that's how you stay clean. Back then, there's no deodorant. It's called go take a bath in the bathhouse and get clean. So I'm saying, in Israel, it's illegal not to have a smartphone. They make it so impossible to not have a smartphone.
He's not being serious, by the way. It's not technically.
No, not technically. But I'm saying
the way the society.
They want in Saudi Arabia. My sister worked there. Gas was like 50 cents, 8 cents a gallon or something. It's illegal to not drive because it's 8 cents a gallon. What do you take a bus? There's no bus. There's no public transportation. You gotta drive.
So they're gonna buy a car.
Yeah, but that's a gift from the country. The country's giving that. If the country said, "I want you guys walking from A to B," then you're going to say, "Wow, this is like the old days. I walked 5 miles in a foot of snow." It's the same world. It's just what the government wants you to have. Like now, they want the immigration rather than slavery. It's the same thing. So what do you want to call it? It's what will the people accept? Right? You're going to eat scraps 2,000 years ago. Now we call it Kentucky Fried Chicken. Same thing. Okay.
KFC, Kentucky Fried Cat. Just kidding.
So there's a great nevuah from Noah. Again, Yaakov is low and Yisrael is high. What did Noah say in the Torah? Do you think he said a lot of things?
No, he didn't talk that much.
No, good job. No, he didn't. He only said 3 psukim. Only. Baruch Hashem, he was the father of Baruch Hashem. He's the first guy who said that. He said, Baruch Hashem, Elohei Shem, may Yafis dwell in the tents of Shem, and cursed is Canaan. The Targum Yonason, giving the explanation of those brachas, is fantastic. How does the world work when it works? That building up there should become the Beis HaMikdash.
Right.
Then it's called a tent of Shem, right? Because only the sons of Shem can build the Beis HaMikdash. It's a Gemara and Yoma. So then when it's a building or tent of Shem, what is Noah's bracha? May Japhet dwell in the tent of Shem. Then Canaan is a servant under those two. He's Mashamash a base midrash. When that happens, then Yafis will make Gerim and learn the Torah of Shem, and all is well in the world. When there's a mosque up there, then there's no Torah tent of Shem, then it's only the tent of Yafis. Their schools of study. And Canaan joins with Yafis. So when Israel's down is when Yaakov is an Isholim, right? It's the man of the tents. We always say, I always tell you about this, right? Every year in Meshiva we say, what tent? What tent? Torah of Shem and Aver. Then we move on. But when it's Yisrael, it's when it's godless in the tents of Shem. When we're low, then it is Yafis, and he puts out Shem, and it's the tents of Zimri and Cosby. As the Gemara says, how do we know Mashiach is close? When the base Medrash turns to a place of Znus. Right? The Yafit tent doesn't have Yerushalayim in the tents of Shem. That's when we're in exile. When you're learning in yeshiva in the middle of Brooklyn. Not exactly the whole Makom Kadosh.
So you're saying that is the Nus?
Well, it's a Znusi area compared to what should be up there. Then it's Psachim 87b. It says you go in. Why does a Yid go into Gullus? To Makabel Gerim. That all the Nitzutzits of the world, the sparks of the world, are delivered only to Israel. No other nation gets the sparks. Where do we see that from? Yisro. The Nefesh HaGer of Yisro. And for all those that say there's no Ger, pretty hard to say that, isn't it? When we have all these Ger references, how is that possible? But I'm making that up again, right? The whole Ger thing. It's only in every commentary in this week's Parsha because of Yisro, who's the consummate Ger non-convert. And the bracha was by Bilam to Yisro. I forget exactly the language, it's in the book, but he blesses Yisro. Yisro says, now I knew that God is great. Why? Because Yisro knew every God, and the God of Israel, the jury was still out on the God of Israel. There's, in the future there's going to be Israel, and theoretically, they had messianic prophecies back then, right? That one day there's going to be Israel and a Torah, and God, this invisible God is going to take them out. It was like a folklore. Just like our folklore now is Mashiach. Right? Mashiach one day is going to come. And when Yisro saw there was Hashem, and we did get taken out, and it did take out the Kishuf of Mitzrayim. Hallelujah, there's a God. And he's not like man. Man starts out something and relents. Right? Why was Moshe wrong for bringing out the Erev Rav? Because he was right in doing it. But then he said, oh man, this is horrible, I shouldn't have done that. Well, God says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. Once you already say, I wish I wouldn't have done that, you're already off skew. Because God doesn't say, oh man, I wish I would have done that. Even though we do say there's a Gemara where God regrets 4 things. Making the Yetzer Hara, the Kasdim, like Abraham in the fire, the Yetzer Hara, I already said that, Ishmaelites, Yetzer Hara, Kasdim. One other one, I forget what it is.
Okay.
So, Sarachim on that, investigate. But the idea is that the God of Israel was supposed to come back and finish the job. And when Jethro saw Sinai, he said, now I knew that God finishes the job. He comes to where? He doesn't go to Amalek. He doesn't say, hey, okay, bets off. God came, let's go now get this nus. No, he goes to Israel. When someone realizes, now I knew that God is real, the only nation that takes anybody in, not converts, gerim. You don't have to convert to Judaism. It's just, where do you go when you say Hashem Hu Elohim? To Israel. That's why we collect the sparks. Anybody attaching to Israel, the Nilva Ger, goes to Israel. If you want to convert, it means you want gefilte fish. If you don't want gefilte fish, it means you want Torah Kadesha. You want the wall and not a wall. If you want the wall and not a wall, you belong at as a connection to Israel. Right? If you want to be davening at the wall, then you convert and go a minion. It's up to you where you want to go. The sparks are meant to go to Israel. Israel collects the sparks. Right? It's just it means that you want divine providence in your life. It means you want what God has to offer. You want a God that doesn't relent. All the Avodah Zarahs out there, they offer different things. And you go ahead, b'vakasha. Bilam and Balak are saying those are our gods. And now Israel, with the God of Israel, is a problem for us. Because once there is an Israel and God is doing it, now the scams are all over. Jethro is saying, I don't want the scams anymore. I want Israel. So he comes. And when he goes back to his family and leaves the Jews, because he didn't convert, he's going to show the world about Gerim and make Gerim, just like Naaman, about the God of Israel. And with that, we may have a wrap. I think we do. You know what? I think we covered the whole thing. 46 minutes, already Lewis show. How you feel about that?
Pretty good. Very fascinating. Like you said, it's hard to dispute Ger. It's
everywhere. The thing about Ger is, I know it sounds fantastic, like Rabbi Katz talking about this Ger thing. It's in every Parsha. I've proven it a million times. And we're going to go and give it a wrap. So that's the Ramdu, Parashas Balak. We'll see you next week. B'ezras Hashem here at the Kaisel. Thanks, Vicky, for coming from Australia. And may the Schwartz be with you.
Sure.